and anti-hero. BBC Radio Solent, one of the big national stories today, is about how education is also facing the cost of living crisis. Head teachers warning that schools may have to cut teachers or reduce their hours to save money. There's been a survey of school leaders by the Head Teachers Union, the NAHT, and in that, just 5% of respondents said they'd be able to cover their costs next year. That's despite school funding actually increasing, but you've got energy prices and other costs rising just too quickly for schools to keep up. For instance, paper. Simple paper, up from £1.95 a box to £3.87, doubling in price. We can talk about this with a couple of guests from Dorset who join me on the line now. We'll start with Gary Spracklen, who's a head teacher of Prince of Wales School in Dorchester. Gary, good morning.
Good morning. Good to speak to you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. How are you feeling about the financial situation that Prince of Wales is in?
So I 100%, self-identify with the comments that was put in the lead in there. And, we, like all schools, are facing a perfect storm. We've got those rising energy costs. We've got those unfunded pay rises for teachers and support staff. And of course, we want to pay our staff more, but we need the funding in order to meet that. And then alongside that, you gave the example of the paper. We got that rising cost of living crisis that everyone is facing at the moment, but that directs us, has a direct impact on us for not only the resources that we pay in school, but also the impact on our lower paid members of staff in particular, such as midday supervisors, cleaners and teaching assistants, who often have no choice now but to look for sometimes, lower skill but higher paid positions in other sectors.
Yeah, I'm interested. I guess I don't consider a head's role at a school to also be making sure that the books balance, but that is something that falls to you, does it?
Yeah, it's a huge part of any senior leader's role in the school, and takes a significant amount of time and energy to look at how that's balanced across the school. And we work really hard at Prince of Wales School to generate additional income. In fact, we as a school generate almost 6-7% of our budget each year is made through additional income that we create through things like lettings and preschool and after school provision and different commercial activities that we run to supplement the school's budget. And we, as a result, we have more money to invest back into the classrooms, but that's not always possible for every school depending upon their certain set of circumstances.
Yeah, and equally, if you're working really hard to try to make that cash appear and it disappears in one fell swoop as soon as an energy company puts gas prices up, for instance, then I can see how frustrating that might be. You said you identified with the lines in the introduction, the sorts of things that you might have to do at Prince of Wales. Have you got a sense of these financial issues biting imminently?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's across every single area. The biggest one for us, of course, is around pay for staff. So long overdue pay rises for those hardworking teachers and support staff have come through to us recently, but they've come to us mid-year and completely unfunded. And the percentage increase that the council's own officers have told us to model at the start of this financial year are woefully short of the percentage increases that have now been agreed. And that deficit has to be found from ultimately the resources that would normally be going into the classroom, because there's nowhere else to take it from.
Let me bring Andrew, who's listening in, across to this. Andrew Parry, who is Dorset Council's education portfolio holder. Andrew, morning to you. Appreciate you joining us.
Good morning, Steve.
Well, what is your response to hearing that about the financial issues that schools like Gary's are facing?
Well, we've always been very clear as Dorset Council that we wanted to see increased central government funding into the Dorset Council area across a range of services, which of course does include children and young people. And we reflect on the fact that basically 2/3 of our schools now sit inside academies, and the remaining third are on a trajectory where they will have to academise by 2030. Now, that will create some change in the financial dynamics of those schools and those places where that happens. But one of the big successes that we've seen in recent times has been a focus in our schools on reducing in-year deficits. And schools that are out of deficit will find it considerably easier to manage what are challenging budgets. And we all understand that there is real rigour around those school budgets.
And at that point, Andrew's phone may have given up the ghost. I tell you what, Gary, I'll come back to you while we hope that Gary's phone reconnects, but it looks like he may have dropped off altogether.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you. Just, parents' worries here listening to this. I understand you have got your concerns. Teachers and TAs and school staff generally will have their concerns about whether they will see a promised pay increase. But, I guess the lion's share of our listeners will be parents or people associated with children. What can you say to them about the shape that education may take in the months or years ahead if this direction of travel continues?
I would say that, it's going to become increasingly challenging. I think the Councillor's comment there about it's great to see that there is a reduction in deficit budget. That's the reduction in the amount of money being spent on our young people fundamentally. And that's not necessarily something to be celebrated, in my opinion. I think ultimately, we will continue to have creative and inspiring people working in our schools, and they will continue to do the very best to meet the needs of the young people. And that's certainly what we're going to continue to do here at the Prince of Wales School.
Okay, really good to talk to you this morning, and thanks as well to Andrew Parry. Apologies that the phone line gave out on him. He's the Dorset Council portfolio holder for education. Gary Spracklen is the head teacher at the Prince of Wales School in Dorchester. You can read more about the situation within school budgets according to that NAHT survey. It's the top story this morning on the BBC News website.
Lou Hannon in the afternoon.
Without sounding a bit weird,